Hello, you guys. How is everybody doing? I hope you guys are doing okay tonight. I didn't feel like doing the thumbnail, so I just put open discussion because we're going to talk about like two or three things. I'm just on chill mode tonight. Oh, what's up, ZK? I'm just happy not to have no quizzes tonight. Y'all know I got off live last night, right? I had been studying for a couple days for my quiz. Then I got off live last night to just go back over it to proofread. And he put like a couple of tricky questions on there. And I made a 80 instead of 100. I cried. I was like, I had studied my butt off. I was so upset. Hey, Tierney, ZK, Kawana, plus size baddie. But I don't have a quiz tonight. I do gotta start. I got a philosophy quiz that I got to take um Monday. So the good thing is um I get to study. And the reason I got so many quizzes is because I started the second half of the semester. So that's why. I know I was so upset. I just knew I was gonna make 100. I was like, I got this. Child, I'm learning about, and I heard about the indentions. If I was saying it right, servitude, all of that. I'm saying it wrong because I want to say dentures. Um, the colonies. Now, I think we learned about the colonies in school, child. We forget this stuff. But it's quite interesting to me now since I've become so interested in history. But I'm like extremely interested in like the slavery and more Africans, and that when you learn your history, you get to thinking about the Hispanics and all of that. Um that when they say a lot of Hispanics are allegedly, racist, more slaves went to um like Latin America, not Latin America, but the Latin countries than they did to America. So when you start looking at a lot of the Hispanic women, and they definitely have a lot of the features, just mixed with other stuff. And I was listening to a I forget who it was. He's like a historian, and he said that Mexicans are Africans that's mixed with other stuff that didn't want to be Africans. You think about that, they have a lot of the African features, like the hips and the butt, and just a lot of the features. A lot Italians were not even considered white people until I forget what year, but it was like in the 19 something, because there was a slave port in Italy, and um a lot of the white guys were mating with the African women, and that's why you see a lot of Italian women, okay, that got hips and butts and stuff like that because of the genetics. You learn a lot when because I'm like I said, I'm really interested. I ain't studying about no damn wars and stuff, but now this last quiz was kind of interesting. Um, the slaves taught a lot of the um I'm trying to think. They taught them how to. They taught a lot of when they got to South Carolina. Um, the slaves taught them how to grow rice, in Charleston, South Carolina, and make money. I mean, that's interesting to me too. I'm very interested in learning about that. That's why y'all always hear me talk about Harriet Tubman and all of that. And I think I have like a renewed strength. Like my father's organization with Miss Crenshaw, she was a modern day Harriet Tubman. She was our Harriet Tubman of Memphis. And I'm so happy that my dad got the opportunity to be, I guess, mentored by her. She taught him politics. She got him ready for politics. And then when my dad started running for positions, he was winning, right? Um, she was, I can remember her vaguely as a little girl. Okay. Her house was over there on, oh God, I don't know. My brain is fogged up tonight. It's right there off of Danny Thomas. Who's in here from Memphis? What's that street right there off of Danny Thomas going back towards um it's around Tate Street. Yeah, what's that main street, y'all? Somebody help me out. That's from Memphis. I know it's some Memphians in here. Um Miss Crenshaw lived on that street. Right there off of Danny Thomas. It's like a main street, y'all. Help me out. Going back towards the South Memphis way, not the North Memphis way. Oh God. I can't believe it ain't no Memphians in here. I can't think of it because my brain is fogged up. Because it was just somebody that just posted on my comments. They was mad about the video that I put up about the young man being arrested for Say So P's murder. Talking about how you talk like he did it. Was you there? Oh, no, I wasn't there, but I imagine you must have been. Okay. Since you're so mad about it, what you need to do is let him know he didn't do it and that you did. Shit. Leave me alone. If you don't like my commentary, just move along. Okay? Just go on, move along. I had a day today. I have had a day today, I promise you. But I handled it. I handled it. Okay. And yeah, I handled it. I hope that that problem does not arise again. Because I really, I just hope that it does not. I bet y'all didn't know a black man made a mop. He was from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I love this. I know it was, I mean, a lot of things that we use now, a lot of black people invented. A lot of black people invented. Let me see, my phone going on. I don't even, shit. Let me see. Not Chelsea. Chelsea is going back in North Memphis. This street is in South Memphis. It's when you go down Danny Thomas, you run right across it. I know damn well it's some Memphis folks in here in the bushes. Bring your ass out and tell me what the street is. Going back towards South Memphis. That's going back towards the South Memphis way. Shit. I'm gonna have to pull the street up. Danny Thomas. Let me see. Okay, Danny Thomas. Not going back towards that way, but going back towards this way. Let's see. Hold on, y'all. Okay, that's the other way. Okay, Washington Adams. Indeed. I wonder why I don't see Vance. That's it. Vance. She lived on Vance Street. Miss Crenshaw lived on Vance. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. She lived on Vance Street, and she was the modern day Harriet Tubman of Memphis. And, that was during the time they didn't like to give women their props. So the phrase that came from the sanitation workers, the sanitation workers, I am a man. So there's this man that had written a poem, and he allowed Miss Crenshaw to read the poem. Okay. And Miss Crenshaw, when she read the poem, in that poem, there was the man said, "I am a man" in the poem, and Miss Crenshaw was like, something just clicked in her brain, and she was like, that would be the phrase for the sanitation workers. I am a man. Okay, so she coined that phrase for the sanitation workers strike. And so then she spearheaded the committee that got Dr. King to Memphis. Okay. So when Dr. King came to Memphis for the sanitation strike, it was Miss Crenshaw, our Harriet Tubman of Memphis, living right over on Van Street. At that time, she had a 2-story home. Her home burned down when she got sick the last time and went into the hospital. Miss Crenshaw had so many files. So Miss Crenshaw called my dad, and she used to always call my dad Mr. Thompson. And she called my dad, and she told my dad when she went into the hospital, one of the last times she was getting real ill, all of my filing cabinets with locks on them, Mr. Thompson, go and get them. She wanted him to, she trusted my dad with all of the files and stuff that she had, like everything that she had learned. She wanted for my dad. I guess she trusted him to keep it, to learn it, and to speak about it, right? And so, anyways, it's a good thing that my dad went and got those filing cabinets and stuff, because her house miraculously had burned down. Now, let me just say this. My dad wanted to buy her land, and she wanted to, he wanted to rebuild her house the exact way that it was. Now, my stepmama, being evil as she is, and she's sick, and my stepsisters, I don't consider them my sisters. Never will. Don't give a damn about them. So, period. Okay. Because of their hatefulness, because my dad was the one that taught me a lot as it relates to that. A lot of the websites and stuff that my dad had up, they took down. The good thing about it is the person that was doing my dad's websites still got everything that my dad had sent him. So it's he working on a new website for me. Okay. I've really just gotten in the state of mind too, because every time I started to continue on with my dad's organization, I think mentally for me, I just couldn't do it. It was just hard for me. I was dealing with so much stuff. Okay. But I'm in a state of mind now where I can do it. I think I've come through a whole lot, right? And one of the things that I had to do, acceptance was a hard thing for me. It was hard for me, just like it was with my grandmother who helped to raise me. It had been those 2 years that I was in depression, and I talk about this because I thank the Lord for bringing me through. Sometimes we can be functioning depressants, okay, and but I just thank God I never had to get on medication. I never. It was never a thought to even get on meds. Now I don't have any issues with people that go get on meds. It was just never a thought for me. Okay. I just knew that I was grieving. But acceptance was a hard thing for me, especially as it relates to death. It was hard for me. I had to accept that I was not going to talk to my dad. I was not going to get any more advice from him. He was like my lifeline. Um, he had made it so easy for me. Okay. Because I'm not a people's person. I'm very shy and reserved, believe it or not. So it's easy for me to be out there and do the talking as long as my dad dealt with the people in the background, right? So, anyways, what they did was, for some reason, my stepmother didn't want his legacy to continue if I had to be the leader of that. Her daughters have got no damn type of personality. Okay, no personality at all. Um, they slick low down. I don't know what they got going on. They pathetic to me. But um, I guess if they couldn't be boring, um, I don't know. I really don't know. But I guess my dad, with the type of personality that I have, I'm boring and reserved. But I know I know how to be I know how to do things to get attention, right, when it's needed. Okay. And so, anyways, when I get to thinking about them, I start to get mad because I feel like a man who did what my father did for the city of Memphis, why would his wife not want that to be celebrated? Sir, y'all, it's somebody in here, and I don't even know what they're saying. They said reports, yo, get y'all channel taker down because we got kids watching, ain't got no time or please or place trust and believe for y'all no none sense, yo, for real, we on to y'all, yo, know that. Sir, I couldn't make out what you were saying. I feel like he was trying to say something. It was just I couldn't understand it, sir. So um so when I'm okay. And so right, jealousy, definitely jealousy. Okay. So anyways, Um, I don't know. The trolls been coming in here. It's 27 people in here. It ain't even like it's 100 people. It's like 27. They mad about that. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Jealousy. Okay. I don't even know who that damn fool is, but whatever. Okay. And then what's gonna happen is I'm gonna start another page, okay? Because YouTube don't pay a damn thing for me. So we'll just start another one. Okay. And so anyways, why wouldn't they want for his legacy to continue on? Maybe it's one of them. Okay, maybe it's one of them that's mad that I'm saying something. Okay. And so you have women like Miss Crenshaw who like I said, who was the Harriet Tubman of her time that fought so hard for Memphis. But let me get back to a lot of the stuff that Miss Crenshaw did. So when Dr. King came to Memphis, that's history right there, and just awesome history. Especially when he came for that, he would stay at Miss Crenshaw's house, and Miss Crenshaw told my father how, and it's been, I guess, backstabbing and backbiting and all of that, even though Dr. King, gave up his life for the future of his people. You had people that was around him that was jealous of him, right? Um, Even though he made the ultimate sacrifice. And Miss Crenshaw told my dad that when Dr. King was there at her house, and Dr. King was Miss Crenshaw was a lot older than Dr. King. Um, Dr. King would be weary about Dr. King would be weary about and confide in her about how weary he was and how tired he was and how not disgruntled, but how discouraged he was a lot. Not because of the fight that he was up against because of the opposite races, but because he knew that he had people within his camp that looked like him that was ultimately backstabbing him and stuff, and that was very hurtful and discouraging to him. And so that's why when I hear people say that certain so-called civil rights leaders may have set him up, I can't believe that. He according to Miss Crenshaw, which told my dad, he was very hurt about the Judases, and he knew that a point in time was gonna come where he probably was gonna have to give up his life, right? Um, he probably had made more so peace with that than he had for that he probably had made more so peace with that than with some of the people that he was fighting for the future of their generations also in the African American community to be stabbing him in the back. So just all of that history, a wealth of knowledge, that my dad had. Um, you know, and he was very proud of a lot of he was just very proud of what he was building, and it was his pride. I think the mere fact that he was going to get ready to retire and he had found something that he loved just as much as what he was doing, okay, in his elected position. And so I think what a lot of Memphians don't know is with Miss Crenshaw, a lot of the Memphians, we get the opportunity to I guess enjoy what Miss Crenshaw did because of her fights. See, when you go to a lot of other cities, they have their light bill and all of that separated, right? The water bill separate, this separate. They don't have to give extensions, right? And so what Miss Crenshaw did was a lot of the poor Memphians, which was the black community, was sitting in the dark every month, right? Because Memphis Light Gas and Water did not give extensions. So it affected a lot of the poor black people. So Miss Crenshaw tried to get um, some of the other leaders and stuff to fight Memphis Light Gas and Water with her, and they wouldn't do it. It was like that's far fetched. Um, we're not gonna do that. That's a lose situation. Miss Crenshaw went up against Memphis Light Gas and Water herself, used her resources. That's the reason why you hear former Mayor Willie Harrington, okay, speak about how brave Miss Crenshaw was. When he talk about it, the first thing he'll say is she was so brave, because he remembers her. She's gone up against him, okay? And he'll tell you that's one of the only people that he could ever think of that when that he had been in an argument with, okay, and he just had to go ahead and just, she was the she because she was such a fighter, she was so smart and brave. um he said that's probably one of the only arguments, one of the ones that could stand toe to toe with him, right? And so what Miss Crenshaw did was Miss Crenshaw used her own money. She fought Memphis Light Gas and Water, and she won, okay? And because of Miss Crenshaw, we're able to get extensions. The Memphians are able to get extensions on their light bills. That's a black woman who had class, who was smart, who fought, who refused to sell out. And they write women like her out of history, because I think they don't ever want there to really be a reference. You know, they talk about Harriet Tubman, and I'm glad, because I love reading about Harriet Tubman. I was just tickled pink when I found 2 books that was actually written. Harriet Tubman, well, she couldn't read and write, so what she did was she got a translator, and the books were written in her own words. There are a lot of books out there about her, but there's 2 that was written by her when she was still alive. I mean, when I found those books, now a lot of the language they use, it was a lot of broken English, but to hear her speak about her experiences. But I'm gonna tell you something that she didn't do. Even then, she never, when they asked her about their secrets of getting the slaves that she was able to steal and to get to freedom, she would speak about how hard it was and all of that, but it's a lot of stuff that she would not say. I mean, because it was a lot of secrecy, and even in her mind, even though they were free slaves at that time, it was just a lot of things that she would not tell. And I'm telling y'all, when you go and you read those books, and you get the opportunity to people that you read about in your history books, and you know, they tell us about, we've seen in documentaries, but to actually hear or see in their to see her own words, her book. I mean, that was just amazing to me. It was so amazing. I wish that at that time there was some audio where as we could have gotten her voice. And I love to now on YouTube. Now I'm talking about history, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I just love it. If you can go back and look at some of the videos from if you go back and look at some of the videos, like from like the 30s, well, no, yeah, when they started using audio. Thank you, nothing. Thank you so much, darling, for the $20 super sticker. There were slaves that spoke about their experiences. Now, they were able to go and find them like around Virginia, South Carolina. Um, they were the slaves were set free when they were children, okay? And I was listening to one freed slave. She said she was like 10 years old when they were set free. She said, and Master just came to Mama and told Mama, y'all free to go. But y'all know they didn't tell the slaves that they were free for like almost like a year after they was free, because they wanted them to continuously work for free. She said they just let us go like cattle. And I remember, Mama didn't know what to do. And so we just left and started walking, and Mama started knocking on doors, trying, seeing if they could get, work in somebody's house. She was like, we didn't know how we were going to survive. Mama just said we was going to pray. I mean, it's just amazing. So when I get to thinking about these, now y'all know I'm getting ready y'all know how I be. These lazy motherfuckers, okay, that sit up and want to rob and steal and kill other people rather than get out and work. They think they better than working at McDonald's or something like that. Just ain't shit. Okay, so I'm gonna go kill somebody for what they get out and work hard for, a break up in their motherfucking house. Okay, that's why I'm so for knocking somebody down that come up in your house. I'm so for it, because that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. And but what the trauma of the slaves and stuff went through. But let me go back to Miss Crenshaw. I got to finish talking about Miss Crenshaw right quick before I get into that. So Miss Crenshaw fought like gas and water. And now Memphians get extensions on the light bills. And because Miss Crenshaw exposed so many politicians in Memphis, they definitely wrote her out of history. So what my dad did was, my dad started buying a lot of billboards and putting her picture up and putting me and my sisters up on the billboards. Like, we had all the billboards in the downtown area, starting from down there by G.E. Patterson and 3rd, all the way down some in North Memphis, because we had a billboard right there when you get off of like Jackson. It's not Jackson. Like, you get off of Austin P and you go down. It used to be a Kmart there. You go on down. Oh God, I forget. I don't know a lot about. I think maybe that's the Raleigh area. Over there by that Best Pizza, the X-Lines Pizza, the best pizza in town by that little expressway. We had a billboard up there. We had a billboard down Elvis Presley by where I grew up at, by Clemson. We had billboards everywhere. And so that was my dad wanting for people, especially the older people that remember Miss Crenshaw, to remember her. He wanted to keep her legacy alive. He wanted for young African American women to know, like, this was a Black woman that fought hard. She did it with class. She was smart. This is a reference. You don't have to, go. You don't have to buy into what they say that Black women are: loud, baby mamas, ghetto, whores, all of that. Okay, she's a reference, and she passed away in 1994, I do believe. And so 1994. So she was definitely the Harriet Tubman of her time. She fought in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And like I said, for us to be enjoying a lot of her hard work, her getting out fighting for the citizens, never selling out, for us and for them to just write her out of history because they couldn't stand her, right? Because they couldn't put her in her place. That was a Black woman that couldn't be put in her place because she knew who she was. They don't want for Black women to have a reference because they don't ever want a Black woman to stand up and fight as hard as Miss Crenshaw did for her community without selling out, right? But I'll have to say, even though you had Blacks that was backstabbing even back then, I think it's way worse now than ever before, because now it seems like you can have somebody that'll stand up and fight for the community. And if they become loved, you got your own community that'll take you out. Yeah, but they helping you in your future. Yeah, but everybody love them. We're gonna kill them. And so one of the reasons why we haven't had a leader like a Malcolm X and a Martin Luther King in our community, okay, is because they kill him, right? And the reason that they're able to kill him is because oftentimes they can always go and get a Negro to they can always infiltrate through a sellout Negro, and there are no repercussions for selling out the Black community. I talk about that all the time. There are no repercussions for selling out the Black community. People are just able to, they keep us fighting with each other. You know, we get worried about this and that and who coding who and all of that. And we let people just come into our community and just run amok. They sell us a song and a dance. When it's election time, they come and finesse you. That should be an insult, right? And then they get into office and then they sell us out, and then there are no repercussions for that. So that's one of the reasons why it's messed up in our community too. And we haven't seen another Dr. King and Malcolm X, because our community, I always say this, we're just not, we would be strong in unity, but we're just not united like we should. Because if somebody is going to get out on the front line and put their life on the front line for the future of our people, okay, and our generations to come, that's the future of our people. We, the people, should be protecting them at all costs. Everybody should know that there has to be it's going to be some repercussions if he dies. If she dies, you're a damn cuckabug head and you go and you become a spy to help to set up our leader, then you got to know it's going to be some repercussions, and it's going to be real bad for you. Okay, it's going to be real bad, and you might need to think about your family too. Okay, because some people, they such cowards. They ain't got no issues with doing dirt, and then when they get found out, they be wanting you to kill them. Okay, so it has to be some real hardcore repercussions in place as a deterrence, but it's not that in our community. And so what people say is, now, why should I put my life on the line? I mean, now they can just put a scandal on TV. You know, you could be for the community. The billionaires that own the medias and stuff, they could just get their interns to put out some type of fake scandal, and people gonna believe it. You will turn on your leader that has put their life on the line to help your community. Oh, see, he doing this, he doing that. You know, they tried to bring up all types of stuff about Dr. King. Okay, well, you know, Dr. King was cheating on his wife. I wasn't on his damn wife, so what they got? I wasn't even alive, so what's that got to do with me? Okay, it was better that he cheat with a woman. And okay, I ain't okay. No, don't make me go there, because y'all know how I get. Okay. And so if that was true, but these are the types of things that they do to soil up the reputation and legacy of our leaders, and we buy into stuff like that. Even like the modern day leaders, because there are a lot of people that could really be leaders in our community. Folks get jealous. We do it to ourselves. Okay. They start trying to dig up dirt. A lot of people that's jealous of people that's got the potential to lead our community, they ain't got the character to do it. But they could benefit. They ain't got the character to do it, but they get jealous and want to take down a leader because they can't do what they're doing, right? And so, like I said, there are no effects or no repercussions when our leaders are taken down. So who's gonna want to stand up and fight? And because you're supposed to protect the people that's on the front line, okay? Because we're supposed to be the soldiers. We're supposed to protect them. But there is no protection because people are taking money to take out their own damn mama. They'll set their mama up for some money. That's how bad it is. Okay. So what's up, Cypress? But when I get to talking about history and stuff, when I get to thinking about history, I tell you, I love it. I love reading, about Sojourner Truth. And so we don't know a lot about Sojourner Truth other than she promoted voting, women's rights, and voting, and even back in her day. And so I was looking at A&E one day, and don't y'all know they were saying, they said Sojourner Truth was this, and she was strong, and she was this, and that. And then I heard a white historian say, but we don't know if she was just a made up character. We don't have any way of knowing. Maybe she was just this character that they made up, because I think, black people wish that they could have had someone as strong as this woman that would stand up for the community. So it could have very well been a tale. Now they had this damn lady now with history books. And so you get people, because they want to minimize, okay, what has, leaders, especially strong leaders in our community, they want to minimize. They get on A&E and say maybe she was just a character that was made up. I said, oh wow, I tell you. So, but they put her in our history books, though. That's what we was learning in school. We learned about Sojourner Truth. We learned about Harriet Tubman. Well, they can't deny Harriet Tubman because Harriet Tubman didn't die until like 1908. So around that time, they was able to start taking pictures, and the pictures and stuff was um invented. So there's proof that she was alive because there were people standing around her in her last days taking there are pictures of her. Okay. So they can't say that she was like a cartoon character or something like that, but I guess they can with Sojourner Truth, because I think she was born in 17 something. Y'all know I want to take African American history so bad. I'm taking history right now, and I'm kind of enjoying learning about some things. But I like African American history too. What's up, Cypress? What's the word? What's going on tonight? I'm just, as they say, shooting the shit. When I get to talking about our history and stuff, y'all know I get lost in myself, child. I was getting ready to talk about a plethora of things. We got to talking about history and slavery and what our community need to do to rise up. Y'all know that's my niche. I could talk about that all night long. So when y'all want to change the subject, just say, girl, change the subject. I'm tired of you talking about that. Let's see, Sojourner Truth. Before my dad passed away, he and I were planning a trip to New York to visit Harriet Tubman's museum. And her museum is her house that she bought in New York. Now, okay, so Sojourner Truth died she died November 26th of 1883. Now, I want her full name was Isabella Baumfree. So she was born in Rifton, New York. Sojourner Truth was an American abolitionist and activist for African American civil rights, women's rights, and alcohol temperance. Truth was born into slavery in Schuylkill, New York, but escaped with her infant daughter to freedom in 1826. They say she was 6 feet tall. Okay. In 1826. Back then they was able to draw pictures. I wonder if this is a picture that was drawn. That's how we know how people look. They sketched them. They had artists. Okay. It's very little information on her. Sojourner Truth, she coined that phrase, "Ain't I a woman?" Now, ain't I a woman? I tell you, quotes and speeches. Um, I tell you, Sojourner Truth, first black woman to sue white. She was the first black woman to sue a white man and win. Now, whether she got her money or not, I don't know. um, After the New York anti-slavery law was passed, Dumont illegally sold Isabella's 5-year-old son, Peter, with the help of Van Wagens. She filed a lawsuit to get him back. Months later, Isabella won her case and regained custody of her son. She was the first black woman to sue a white man in the United States courts and prevailed. So the master sold her 5-year-old son off. Okay. And she filed a lawsuit because she must have been a free woman and won, and they had to give her child back. Isn't that something? And that was in the 1800s. Brave. Definitely brave. I tell you, Ain't I a Woman's speech was written in 1844. Wow. I don't know about y'all, but reading about these strong women, especially you thinking about a time like that where black people were owned and these women were brave enough to just say, listen, Harriet Tubman said, I'm going to be free or die. And that is one of the things that she did say in her book. When asked if she was scared, she said she didn't have no fear. She knew God was going to take care of her. She said she had already made up her mind that she wanted to free other slaves and she was going to be free or die. She just knew she was not going back to slavery. She had made peace with dying. So I'm going to be free or I'm going to die. So that's how she was able to do it. Because a lot of slaves, once they escape to freedom, they dare not go back to the South to try and free more slaves. And I love that phrase in the book, in her book. And a lot of people say this now. She says that she freed 1,000 slaves. She said, I freed about 1,000. I could have freed more if they had known that they were slaves. A lot of people didn't. A lot of them, they was so brainwashed. It was just their way of life. They didn't even know that they were slaves. They felt like the master treated them pretty good. They was able to be cooks in the big house, and master didn't sell their children, didn't beat them as much. They felt like they was, they felt like they was treated pretty well, compared to what they had seen master do to other slaves. Like if they wanted to make the slave women submit, what they would do is the way they would scare them is that they would tie their husbands, strip them naked, and their black husbands, and tie them to horses. Okay. And then have the horses to go separate ways and rip their limbs off. Right. That was a scare tactic to get other slaves to submit. Right. Or they would make the slave women watch as master would make her husband strip and sodomize her husband right there in front of her. So you're talking about these women went through a lot. You know what I mean? And that's why I say I talk about generational curses a lot, because our ancestors did not get any counseling. There was no such thing, I don't think, back then. And our generations have not gotten any counseling, because we see, even though a lot of our people don't know anything about slavery, never been in slavery, maybe a modern day, it's still that mentality of how they was able to brainwash the slaves that worked in the big house, right? A lot of our people still carry that slave mentality, although they weren't on plantations. So that's like a generational curse, right? I think our people need some repair, real bad repair and reparations. Okay. But I think our mindsets and stuff got to change too, because we really screwed up. We tore it from the floor up. Um, I think it would be a good thing to sit down and learn about our history. I love learning about our history. When I start reading, about um, um, women in history and what they've done and the significance of women. That's why I always talk about the power of women. When I remember a lady told me, she had said one time, she's like, it seems like, God has always placed you to work around men that had power. And she said, she said, God, that was for a reason. That's one of the reasons why, when folks get on here that don't know me, know nothing about me, never had a conversation with me, don't know anybody that I know. Okay. When they said, well, she was a whore, I always carried myself like a woman. Okay. I was getting ready to make a joke and say, I probably should have been a whore because I would have been a high dollar when I'd be rich. I wouldn't be taking crumbs like a lot of these whores doing. Okay. I would have been a rich whore, okay? Because if I'm gonna do it right. But I've never been a whore, okay? I ain't gonna be a broke hoe, okay? I'm gonna hit me a lick. I would have hit me a lick and been good. But but hey, Lamar Frazier probably didn't get, it says freedom is a mindset. When you free the mind, you free yourself, right? Women are have a lot of significance. It was a lot of men were able to succeed because they had dedicated women in the background doing a lot of the leg work and helping them to strategize, keeping them calm, praying for them. Um, hey, that's why I say when women work around men with power, I think that is an assignment. Some women become so intimidated, they feel like I need to make him feel like he need me. Okay, so they make up problems so that they can say, "See, I fixed that problem. I got your back." You don't have to do that when you have an assignment, right? You don't have to do that. You don't have to be manipulative. God didn't put you around that man for you to be sleeping with him either. Okay. I think what people don't understand is like if you get a seat at the table, it's not just about you. There's no way in the world that Black people should be getting seats at the table, quote unquote, and not. And when they get their ass to the table, they keep their mouth closed and then walk out and say, God gave me a seat at the table. Well, what you say when you was at the table? He put me before kings. Yeah, but what did your ass say? Okay, did you speak up for your community or did you just sit there? You said, I just sat there and I sat before kings. Well, you ain't no damn good then. Okay, you being there don't mean a hill of beans to me. Okay, because you got there and you didn't say shit. You ain't spoke up for your community. You ain't spoke up for yourself. Okay. And so that's why you have to be constantly prepared. Y'all know I had told y'all some, and one of the reasons, like I always wanted to finish school. I always wanted to finish. And I told my mother, because y'all know my major is pre-law. Okay. And I'm so enjoyed like the classes. I thought I had taken all the law classes and criminal justice classes, but like and I have taken all the criminal justice because child, when I was in college before, I was just taking anything that I thought would be cool. Ooh, this is gonna be cool because I ain't give a damn, right? But I'm serious this time, and I'm gonna get my degree. And I told my mother, I said, I hold on, let me read this. I've been enjoying. Oh, we get ready to look at this. I've been enjoying just being back in school and taking everything seriously. That's why I be studying so hard, taking everything seriously, and then I'm probably gonna go further because I asked my mom. I was like, do you think that I should get my law licenses? Because I just wanted to be an investigator that knew the law. That's why I took pre law. Like Since I've been working around lawyers every day, I always worked for lawyers, but I work around them every day now. I think learning the law is extremely interesting to me because I think what we get caught up in is emotion. Well, that's not right. Well, it's not about what's right. It's about what's the law. What okay, I know it's sure not right, but what does the law say? And so I used to think that's so cruel. This lawyer ain't no good because this, and that. And then now I really understand, right? It's not about what's right and what's wrong. It's about knowing the law, right? And you have to learn the law to make it work for you. Okay. Definitely make it work for you. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I guess um like I said, I'm gonna go through to school through the summers and all of that. And then I think I'll just apply for law schools to see if I get in. I'll just be trying to see if I got in. I don't know. I ain't moving. I gotta get in. It would have to be the one in Memphis. Okay, it would have to be Cecil Humphreys. I don't know. Maybe I would go to Chicago just to go and then move back. I don't know. I'm gonna just pray about it. God gonna work everything out. So I'll just cross that bridge. Um, when I'll just cross that bridge when I get there. Um, yeah. Oh, so Cypress just sent me something. Cause y'all know we get to talking about history and stuff. Y'all know I can go on and on and on. I know y'all want to talk about some things y'all want to talk about. Get me caught up in talking about history and everything I learned. Did. So let me, Lord, who calling me this late, child? Um, oh, I got people sending me messages that I didn't see. Hold on, y'all. Let me show y'all this right here. Cypress sent me this. Hold on, let's see. I forgot that Julio Fulio trial went on today. He said tax attorneys are the best field. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't want to be an attorney, but if I was to specialize in anything, I think I would want to be. I would definitely to start off. I would like to um mm, I think work for the feds, definitely for the feds. But I would want to work for the federal prosecutor's office, and I would want to work for the federal public defender's office, or I would like to do both, the defense and the prosecution. One, a lot of people that go to jail are not guilty, okay, and they need somebody to fight for them. They do. Everybody is not guilty, okay. And then I would like to work for the federal prosecutor's office as an attorney to help the federal agencies to win some convictions on some things. And then if I got into private law, I would I would get into specializing in um, business law, which would be entertainment law, simply because I've seen how so many black entertainers get taken advantage of. But believe it or not, a lot of entertainment lawyers, they stop specializing in entertainment law because so many black entertainers don't understand the importance of having an entertainment attorney. They feel like if they go get an attorney, I got me a lawyer to read over my contract. They don't know a damn thing about a contract. You need to get you an entertainment lawyer, okay, that know about contracts and all of that. So that's one. I would specialize in entertainment law, which would be business law, real estate law, and probably he said tax attorney. That probably that too. But yeah, tax attorneys are the bomb. But I think more so the entertainment law and the real estate law and probably the civil law. Because as I just said, I would get my training at would have already done the prosecution and the defense with the feds on the prosecutor side and the public defender's side. So I would have already worked and got that with my training and got that out the way, right? And then when it came time to specialize, I would get into real estate to probably help more black people to understand to help them, because a lot of black people get taken advantage of when it comes to real estate. They don't know about the laws and all of that. So cooking up. Oh, so this is what I was getting ready to show you all. Cypress has sent me this. Let me see. Um, let's see. Let's see. She looked like she goofy, child. Is she in court?
About the evidence. Okay.
What is the issue?
It was Fox 13 this morning, aired your interview.
Okay.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. All right. Let's bring Mr. Jimenez in.
Hey, Judge, we missed one juror, but he's running into traffic, maybe 15 more minutes.
That's fine.
Judge, I'm also hearing it was Fox 13 this morning when they were reporting about opening statements. I think they reran an interview with Mr. Malcolm and Mr. McClimate talking about the evidence.
They said this is the woman. They said she's the woman who dropped this location to the men charged with fatally shooting the rapper Sean Gathright, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy. Lord have mercy. So she dropped this location. It's something wrong with her. It's something wrong with her, y'all. This girl, it's something wrong with her. She still don't see the seriousness of what she did. Did they charge her with anything? Because she needs to be, because she's going to go do it again, because she crazy. See, people like her got to be charged with something, and they got to hit her over the head pretty hard. So even though she crazy, you start hitting them with some of them numbers, they'll get some act right. They'll get some sense. So she needs to sit her ass in jail for a little while, because if she going to get on there and prosecute and they're going to give her immunity, get on there and testify against them and they give her immunity, she going to let her know. She going to go do it to somebody else. Lord have mercy. Mm-hmm. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Y'all, hold on. I'm looking at something. Okay, I'm back. Um, Cooking says, I know a lot of tax attorneys. Hold on, y'all. Let me see something. Were they on the crime network? Hold on, you all. So it wasn't on Law and Crime?
Stalk and track the rapper last year in what authorities called an ambush-style shooting. Jury selection in her case began this morning, and Fox 13's Aaron Mesmer has been covering this for us. Joins us now live in our newsroom. Hi,
Wow, so she's going to trial.
Attorneys prior to the trial here. What did they tell you?
Mark, they say Andrews has been honest with investigators all along. She admits she was with the group of suspects, but her attorneys say she had no part in the murder and was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Today, we're going to be picking a jury in a criminal case.
Alicia Andrews is the first of 5 suspects to go to trial who are all charged in connection with the murder of Charles
No, he
Jones, a
didn't
Jacksonville
call me.
rapper known as Julio Fulio.
Charles Jones was shot and killed while he was seated in his car.
The judge briefed potential jurors on the basic facts of the case. Jones was in Tampa to celebrate his birthday last
Okay,
year.
I will give
Security video
her a
shows a
call
group
tomorrow.
of shooters opening fire
What
on
is his
Jones's
last
car
name?
outside a hotel near USF. Rashad Murphy, Isaiah Chance, Sean Gathright, and Andrews are accused of making the trip from Jacksonville to Tampa to kill Jones in what investigators described as an ongoing gang war.
That perception is not reality.
Andrews' attorneys recently sat down with Fox 13 to explain why they believe she's innocent.
She was here for a trip with her boyfriend. That's it and that's all, and found herself caught up in a mix of stuff that she was unaware about completely.
That's what she told detectives who didn't believe her. They say she and her boyfriend, Isaiah Chance, acted as lookouts the night of the murder. The defense says Andrews had no idea what was about to happen.
Right, this is a case where the state tries to put her in a box and say that she is the girlfriend of one of the individuals involved and that she would do anything that this guy tells her to do because she's so in love with him.
They just leaped to the conclusion, since he was there, she must know. And, it's just a faulty kind of logic.
All 5 suspects are charged with first-degree murder, but Andrews is the only one not facing the death penalty. Her lawyers say she's been honest from day one, and they think jurors will believe her.
So she has no problem telling them everything that she knows, and she did, and believing that that truth will, proverbially set her free.
And the judge told jurors this trial could last up to 2 weeks, Mark.
All right, Aaron Mesmer watching it closely for us. Aaron, thanks. This Monday.
Y'all, it's sad. Those boys are sitting in court like it's almost like it has not hit them. That they get ready to be in jail for the rest of their life. Yeah, what is going on?
The Glock pistol with the extended magazine. And he was spot on. That's exactly what the evidence.
Okay, very good. Thank you. For the record, Ms. White has reviewed the state's PowerPoint that they intend to utilize during opening statement. Okay, you guys ready to go? Let's bring in the jury.
All rise.
All right, good morning, everyone. Have a seat. Welcome back, members of the jury. Just a couple of things before we get going. It is my understanding there were media reports about this case in the news the past 24 hours. So did any of you watch, read, listen to any news accounts related to this case? Did any of you do any independent research or investigation on your own about the case? Did you talk to anybody about the case? Okay, very good. All right, and just for schedule.
Those yellow stickers on the hood, the side. This overwhelming firepower and violence of action had an effect of confusion. Now, it wasn't confusing to the killers because they slipped away into the darkness. They were gone almost immediately. But it had that effect on the victims. Gino and Xavier, when that Charger finally comes to a halt, bullet riddled, they realize that Charles Jones is gone. And they also realize that they both have been impacted. They have both suffered gunshot wounds. They flee out of that Charger and they flee immediately to the west into the Holiday Inn because now they don't know where these killers are. They don't know if they're there or not. So they flee and they run into the hotel. And you're going to see in the evidence, their flight leaves a thick blood trail and a very obvious blood trail. They run in, they get on an elevator, they go to the 3rd floor. When law enforcement respond, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that, the confusion that was caused, they go to the area where the Charger is. They see the blood trail. They don't know if that's victims. They don't know if that's shooters. They go into the hotel thinking that they're going to be coming face to face with shooters. They go up the elevator and they go onto the 3rd floor and they find Mr. Edwards and Mr. Norris laying on the ground, bleeding. Camilla Bentley, you saw in the panic between her car, or the car she was driving, the Altima, and Miss Turner's Hyundai. One's backing up and one's going forward, and they collide going out onto McKinley. Camilla Bentley drives off, but then she turns around shortly thereafter and comes back and picks up Taifa and Aaliyah, who are inside of the hotel lobby. They then drive nearby to Advent Health, where Camilla is treated for her gunshot wound. Meanwhile, Armani Turner, the victim's girlfriend in the Hyundai, she ends up somehow on Fowler going eastbound and comes across a traffic stop being conducted by the University of South Florida Police Department, just a traffic stop. She pulls up, and her and Mr. Howard get out, and they make contact with the police, who are having a hard time understanding them because they were so frantic and so upset. So they follow them. They try to follow them. They actually lose sight of them because she's traveling so fast. Meanwhile, Tampa Police Department are responding to multiple 911 calls of shooting at the hotel. An officer responding sees Miss Turner driving. She drives through the intersection of Fowler. McKinley goes right over the landscaping and into the parking lot. He follows her, not knowing who she is or what her part of this is, and they end up making contact with her. Officers end up driving down to the south end because it's brought to their attention that there are impacts and broken glass all over the south end of the Home to Suites where the shooting actually happened or began. And the first officer who gets there comes into the scene, and he notices all of these 9mm pistol casings laying in the scene. And he's looking at the impacts, and he's already seen the Charger. And he's wondering, where are the rifle casings? Where are they? Well, you're going to hear in this evidence there were no rifle casings, even though 2 rifles were firing at a high cyclical rate in this attack. They weren't there because these conspirators modified their rifles. They put what are called brass catchers on the rifles to catch the brass, the shell casings being ejected from these AR-style rifles. They modified them, just like they modified that Glock pistol and made it fully automatic. That was confusing. That was beguiling to law enforcement, at least in the beginning, until they started obtaining the video that you've just seen. So how does this conspiracy unfold? How does all of this start? It starts with Charles Jones, Julio Folio, you see his name on the top of this post on IG, putting out on his IG account this advertisement for June 22nd, which was a Saturday. The murders happened in the early morning hours of the 23rd, going into Sunday morning. And you see Mr. Jones in the middle, advertising he's going to be appearing, Julio Folio, at Teasers on North Nebraska in Tampa, hosted by Kenny Kay. And he puts at the bottom, my Airbnb pool party, June 21st. And that's when he arrived here. He and party goers arrived here that Friday. They had rented an Airbnb in Holiday in Pasco County. And they ended up on Saturday night leaving the Airbnb because he had started sending out, telling people, send me messages and I'll message you back with the address. And so many people appeared that eventually the owner of the Airbnb pulled the plug and told them to get out. But you see down here at the bottom, my official birthday party, June 22nd at Club Teasers, and gives the address. So he is making it very well known when he puts this promotion out, where he's going to be, what address he's going to be at, and when he's going to be there. This is another flyer that he put up. 8 p.m. to 3 a.m., June 22nd at Teasers. He even puts a photograph here of Tampa. My Airbnb pool party. DM me for address. And my official birthday party at Club Teasers gives the address again. So he's advertising his whereabouts. He's advertising his whereabouts. Now, Miss Andrews, the defendant, sitting right over here at counsel's table, this is a message that she sends, and you see on the top there, oh, that's red. That is her Instagram account. You will find that. You can see on the top right, her registered email to that account, verified AliciaAndrews72@yahoo.com. She sends that this message on June 21st, that's Friday, at 10:52 UTC, that's early morning the 22nd, or earlier that day, sorry. UTC, if you're not aware of that, is Universal Time Code. It's Greenwich Mean Time. So you got to back up 4 hours. So she's sending that on the Friday night. Hey, could I book a B&B in Tampa? This is 2 days
Carrie.
before the murder. To a Kiera Axe Marie. Hey, what's dates you need? Tomorrow, but what day do you have available? How many bedrooms? Like 2. Logistics. This is the beginning. She's trying to find lodging. Trying to find lodging for this operation. Now, a few moments later, a screenshot of an Airbnb message is documented. The message is addressed to Rashad Murphy, confirms his reservation at Lagoon Oasis 9703 Gazebo Pond in Tampa, June 22nd to June 24. And in the message of that message there from the owner of the Airbnb, our HOA requires for security purposes that all guests booking with us provide a valid ID, which he obliges and sends his valid ID. Now we go to the 22nd. This is the Saturday. Earlier in the day, before Julio Fooley is going to start appearing at clubs in Tampa. This is the residence of Sean Gaithright, one of the conspirators. That is Mr. Gaithright walking out with a large duffel bag, and Isaiah Chance walking out with bags. And you'll see they start loading that black car, which is a Chevy Impala. That is the car that goes north in the hotel complex. That is the car transporting the assault team. And they load the bags into the trunk. That BMW on the top of the video there is being driven by Mr. Chance. And you see him bringing out another large bag. They're kitting up and they're getting their gear into their transports. You'll see in the evidence that Mr. Chance ends up leaving in that Beamer. He drives and picks up his girlfriend, this defendant, Alicia Andrews, and brings her back to this residence. And then the three of them, Miss Andrews, Mr. Chance, and Mr. Gaithright, get into that Impala, and they drive here to Tampa, and they drive to the Airbnb, and there will be zero doubt about all of that, because that Impala, while it's en route, is being picked up on license plate readers. You will see in the evidence their cell phones are tracking, hitting cell towers as they travel in unison all the way down to I-75, coming across from Jacksonville and heading directly into Tampa. When he comes back, Mr. Chance brings his contribution to the assault team. The Glock pistol with the extended magazine. He tucks it into his waistband. You can see the extended magazine sticking out in the trigger guard and the slide and the dust cover of the pistol. Just a more close-up photo of it. And you can see it bulging out of the right side of his warm-up pants he's wearing. So these three, Chance, Gaithright, and the defendant, get in that Impala. And they drive. You'll find in the evidence that Gaithright in the middle and Chance, the defendant's boyfriend, are very tight. They were close friends. Mr. Chance calls Mr. Gaithright his little brother. And you'll see in the video when they are loading up, you'll see more video during this trial of Mr. Chance putting in the codes on the front door of the house that Mr. Gaithright lives at. Now, the second car, the one that I pointed out to you, the surveillance vehicle, this is a Chevy Cruze. This car is also picked up on license plate readers after law enforcement determined its involvement in this case. They go back and they find it. And if you can see in the lower left-hand corner, 7:46 p.m., June 22nd, it's on Bruce B. Downs at Tampa Palms, getting real close to where their Airbnb is. And by the way, the Airbnb they book is 1.3 miles from the murder scene. You will see in the evidence that the LPR, the license plate recognition systems that are picking up these two vehicles, show them traveling in unison, hitting on the same license plate readers at the same time, at the same locations as they travel from Jacksonville. That car was obtained by Rashad Murphy outside of the circle of ATK 1200. It was specifically located and utilized in this case as a car that would not be recognized. Now, this is the LPRs for that car, the Chevy Cruze. You can see it hitting where it hits Dolphin Drive. That's the day before in Jacksonville. On the 22nd at 6:01, Highway 441. At 1809 Highway 326, it's traveling through Gainesville. And then at 1947, 7:47 p.m., Bruce B. Downs, Tampa Palms Road, and then at 0342 Hillsborough. And then we get into the surveillance and the time before the murder. The ones at the bottom are the return. That's when they're returning to Jacksonville. This is showing you in these license plate readers, the Cruze on the top and the Impala on the bottom, hitting simultaneously on the same dates, 1809, 1947, 1945, 0341, 0342, at the same exact locations. These cars are traveling in unison because they are part of a team. This is the Airbnb that they stayed at on the night of the 22nd, going into the morning of the 23rd. They didn't stay at a hotel that has a lobby with security cameras. They stayed at an Airbnb with one single Ring camera. Now, that's the front door on the right, or on the left, excuse me. You can see the Ring camera. You also can see that that lock has, like most Airbnbs, has a combination lock on it. That's the defendant when they arrive. And that day, she's the only one seen going through that door. You're going to hear in the evidence when she walks in, this is from a video, someone inside saying, "My bad." So they're already inside, but she's the only one that goes through the door that day. The other ones... The other ones, the evidence will show, this is back the back side of that same building, and down the back, and there's the back door. Must have entered, the evidence will show, through that entrance. Later that night at about 1:40, this is going now into June 23rd, 3 hours before the murder of Charles Jones, and less than an hour before they begin to hunt and stalk him at Teasers, where he's appearing. Her phone leaves the Airbnb and starts tracking by hitting off cell towers to a nearby McDonald's at 22nd and Fletcher, 2205 East Fletcher. You can see in the upper right-hand corner, if you've never seen these before, that's the cell tower. This is the area of the cell tower, or the part of the antenna that's being utilized, and it falls within that area. And you can see there Fletcher, Advent Health. That is her in the passenger seat. And there's not going to be any doubt about that in this case, because when she's later interviewed by police, she identifies herself. Because you're not really going to be able to see her face, but she says, yeah, I'm in that car. That's me. You can see the driver, Davion Murphy, he's lighting a cigar. You can see a little flame. You're going to watch on this video as they proceed through this drive-through. You just saw her turn to her left. She identifies Mr. Chance as being in the back seat of that car. And that's Davion Murphy in the driver's seat. They eventually drive off, but what you're going to find in the evidence is they buy a lot of food. This is not food for one person, it's a lot of food. And that's significant because later she tells the police that they went there because she was hungry and wanted something to eat. She also tells them she doesn't know who the driver is. Can't give an explanation for how he even came to be in that car or how she came to be in that car. Now, this is outside of teasers. As you saw, Teasers is a club that is on Nebraska here in the city of Tampa. So as you saw in the evidence of the shooting, the success of this conspiracy, this plot to murder, this attack hinged on the element of surprise. It absolutely hinged on that. And they leveraged the surprise that they had, catching Mr. Jones off guard. And to have that type of surprise, they had to act with a coordinated knowledge, and they needed intelligence. They needed intel. They needed real-time information. Where is he? What's his route? They needed to know exactly where he was. They needed to know his positioning, his routes of travel. And like any good operation, the key to success is intelligence, critical intel. Now, to obtain intelligence like that and to do so surreptitiously, secretly, the surveillance has to be done. In a surreptitious manner. Without that intelligence, without providing that real-time information to the assault team that's in the Impala, there would be no surprise, there would be no ambush of Mr. Jones, and this conspiracy would fail. It was that intelligence, that real-time surveillance and communication, the locations and routes that were provided by this defendant and her boyfriend, Isaiah Chance, operating alone in that Chevy Cruze while the other three conspirators, the assault team, were in the Impala. And they were doing everything they could to keep that Impala out of the sight of Mr. Jones and his friends, because Mr. Gaithright drove that Impala. It was registered to his mother, but he drove it all the time. He was notoriously known for driving that car. This was a coordinated team effort. In order to remain secretive and to not alert the target that they were conducting surveillance, they utilized several different techniques. Number one, They parked away from the club, and they utilized disguises. That you heard some about yesterday in jury selection, about COVID masks. You're going to see in this video, June of 2024, they're both wearing COVID masks. Now, interestingly, because it was suggested yesterday that there's many reasons people could wear COVID masks, it's the only time in this evidence you will ever see a mask on this defendant's face. You won't see it on her face when she returns back to Jacksonville through an Uber. You won't see it on her face any other time when she's entering into the Airbnb around her 4 co-conspirators. But they kept their distance, and you'll see that in this video, from the victim and his entourage. They attempted to blend into the background. They needed to get close enough to be able to conduct surveillance, to gather the information they needed, but not so close that they would be detected. They had to avoid that. So first they used an unrecognizable car, and then they used disguises. But what you're going to find, and remember the law and principles, she doesn't even need to be there to be part of this conspiracy or to be a principal. She's there. She drives there with Mr. Chance, and they park in the north end of the parking lot of Teasers. And she doesn't stay in the car. She gets out and she walks with him. You're going to see that. You can kind of see their images in the upper right-hand corner. This is a video. I'm going to play it in a minute. You're going to see him hand her phone to her and her put her code into the phone to open it so they could utilize it to convey what they were watching and seeing. And again, they're out in the parking lot. She was there with them in the field, shoulder to shoulder, in the thick of it, on the ground, in the action. So they're wearing these masks, and it's not just like some costume mask. Obviously, a COVID mask is not going to necessarily draw that much attention, but it is going to hide their identities. Mr. Chance has a hoodie up on his head, along with the COVID mask. They are clearly trying to disguise themselves. But again, she didn't stay in the car, she got out. And there was a reason for that. Because instead of allowing Mr. Chance to walk around in this dark parking lot with a hood on and a mask on by himself,
Objection, Your Honor. Argument.
walking,
Overruled, go ahead. Again, this is opening statement, members of the jury. It's just a chance for the lawyers to tell you what evidence they believe will be admitted in this case. But again, it is not the actual evidence, all right? Go ahead.
but instead of allowing him to walk around in that parking lot by himself, a single man with a disguise on, she went with him. Because now they would be a couple. They would fit in. They would be non-threatening. So she acted not only helping in conducting the
Objection, Your Honor.
reconnaissance,
Argument.
Overruled, go ahead.
she acted as camouflage. She acted as a disguise in and of herself. Now they're a couple. Now it's not just a single person who may be seen as threatening or may draw attention. This is just a couple walking around in the parking lot in a club where a lot of people are milling about in groups. In groups. She provided that by being there in the field with them. She provided that cover and that camouflage, and she provided, obviously, a second set of eyes to watch, both of them surveilling and watching Mr. Jones and his entourage. And then, as I just mentioned a minute ago, she provided the comms, the communication, her phone. Now, you're going to see in the evidence, Mr. Chance's phone is tracking all the way to Tampa from Jacksonville. And it's tracking at that Airbnb. It's hitting off a nearby tower, but it's her phone they're utilizing, you will find in the evidence. Now, you're going to find in this evidence that they were not utilizing the calling function of that iPhone or even its Apple text message app. the two ways that most people communicate. They're using some kind of a special application to be able to communicate that's undetected. But at some point, they have to break radio silence because the person they're communicating with, Sean Gathright, is not answering. He's not picking up his phone, so they actually send a text through the Apple text message app. Pick up your phone. And that's right around this time, just a few minutes later. You see the defendant opening the phone for Mr. Chance, and you can see their COVID masks. One is wearing the blue COVID mask that was so prevalent in 2020, 2021, and she's wearing a black one. This is Mr. Jones and his friends arriving at that club. And you can see the time there. 2:22 in the morning. That, again, is several minutes off, but it's about that time. 2:21, and there they are, and you see Mr. Chance on the phone in the parking lot at the same place. Now later, after Mr. Jones has gone into the club and been in there and done his thing in there with his friends, he's now leaving. You can see Mr. Edwards' head up there. It's 2:46 or about that time. 2:46, 59, almost 2:47. And what happens at 2:47? This car up here in the upper right, that's on that road, which is Nebraska, is pulling in to the north end of the parking lot of Teasers. This was an extremely orchestrated, well-orchestrated conspiracy, coordinated. He's walking out of the club on the other side of the club, and out of the blue, the assault team vehicle is pulling into the club. That is tight surveillance and intel. Now, in this photograph, it's 2:48. This is Mr. Jones' Charger. You can see the lights starting to light up because they're already inside the car. They're getting ready to leave. That's the Impala that has come in on the north side, gone down the west side, and is now passing in the front. Out of necessity, passing in the front. So this is just an aerial view of Teasers. You can see Nebraska over here to the right. You can see this little road here, South Castle. The defendant and her boyfriend come and they park here in the north end. They get out, they walk around, they come around this way, they stand here. The entrance is over here. So they're way down here. You kind of saw that in that photograph, which would put them down there to the west. They conduct surveillance, they walk back up here, they get back into the car, and then they drive out onto East Castle. The assault team comes in the red arrows, comes in on the north end, we just watched it, they come down this way and they go down Castle. And as you can see, before I move on, a lot of folks standing around out there. A lot of people, potential witnesses. Now, from there, when Mr. Jones leaves with his friends in the three cars, they travel to another club, an after party. This is Truth 18 on Bush. The Dodge Charger, the Hyundai, and you'll see the Altima come up. Down here to the lower left, you can see some of the party, Miss Bentley, Miss Albritton, Tafa McRae in the light blue. And up on the top there where you just saw the flashing lights, it's Armani Turner and Miss Randolph getting out of the Hyundai. And there's Mr. Jones in the lower right with the red hat, very recognizable. So they go up to the second floor of this strip mall where this club is. That's Gino Norris in front walking up, his friend. And again, this is for an after party. And you'll see Mr. Jones will start live streaming with his phone. Again, advertising his location.
Y'all, did he want them to know where he was at?
This is from another location, and you can see the Chevy Cruze up in the top part of the screen. And now, in the top of the screen, the hooded individual, the defendant, and Mr. Chance conducting more surveillance. Walking as a couple, so they're not threatening, they don't stand out. With her phone to his ear. And now they walk back again past the club. Mr. Jones and his friends leaving. The Impala on the top of the screen. This is that's across the street. You'll find in the evidence that the victim and his entourage go down the parking lot, they do a U-turn, they come back out, they end up heading east and then doing a U-turn and going back west. The Impala just crossed the street. Now it's back up at that stop sign in the upper right-hand corner. And you'll see it'll just sit there for a while. Mr. Jones and his friends coming down the stairs. A lot of people milling about, a lot of cars. The evidence will show. And then finally, they leave or start to leave. And they come back. Charger followed by the Hyundai. Followed by the Altima. On the top of the screen, Mr. Jones' Charger is going to do a U-turn and go back westbound, followed by the Hyundai and the Altima. There goes the Cruise, heading the same direction. Now, this is the intersection of McKinley. Oh, and then let it play through. This is the intersection of McKinley and Fowler. This is the Home to Suites and Holiday Inn complex in the upper right-hand corner. Directly across the street is USF. There's an Embassy Suites there. That is Mr. Jones' car doing a U-turn and going back on McKinley, and you'll see it turn into the hotel complex, followed by the Hyundai and the Altima. And as you can see, there is no car visible except for those oncoming lights now coming up the northbound side. That is the Chevy Cruze. It goes eastbound. No other car on McKinley can be seen. It's not even in sight. The Chevy Cruze ends up going eastbound, then comes back westbound, turns northbound. There it is, into that parking lot. And now, several minutes later, comes the Impala, which, this is the assault team. Does a U-turn, you will see, goes southbound on McKinley, following the path of Mr. Jones and his entourage, and pulls directly into that hotel. That car wasn't anywhere to be seen when Mr. Jones and his entourage were going in there. But the Chevy Cruze was there with this defendant and Mr. Chance, providing critical intelligence to them with this defendant's phone. Once it pulls in, you'll start seeing cameras from different locations within the complex mounted on the Home to Suites surveillance system that'll pick up the Impala's path as it travels. So the Chevy Cruze, at one point after the Impala goes in, blows through a red light on Fowler to get over there and turn in to the hotel. By that point, the Impala is all the way around on the west side, you will find in the evidence, of the hotel, and setting up for the attack. But now the Cruze has to come, the evidence will show, to drive by and confirm where is Mr. Jones. The red marker is the Impala and its path. It comes in, it goes northbound, it goes westbound, it goes southbound around the Holiday Inn, down across the south end side of the Holiday Inn, back to the east, and then it parks. First it goes down, you can see that red arrow next to the Home to Suites on the west side. It kind of pulls down there and has to back up and pulls in. When the blue markers is the Chevy Cruze, when that pulls in and pulls around and does the three-point turn, you're going to see in the video evidence right here, they pass within feet of each other at the same time. And of course, the Impala never goes around or reveals itself past that point, keeping out of sight of Mr. Jones and his entourage. This is a camera mounted on the east side of the Home to Suites, pointing to the southeast, and it is picking up the Impala now, pulling into the complex and going northbound on the east side of the hotel. This is going to go to a camera facing north-northeast, showing it passing, still going northbound. And then it turns back to the west. This is a camera that's mounted on the north side of the Home to Suites that picks up the Impala as it passes and turns towards the west. And now the Impala is on the west side of the hotel. There's this pool and this patio area here that's on the west side of the hotel. Going around this way would be the portico. This is the west side of the hotel. The charging stations are right here. And you can see the Impala comes and stops. It does not go around that southern end of the Home to Suites. It's avoiding the southern end at this point.
Hey, Miss Sherry.
And here comes the Chevy Cruze passing directly past in the car that's not known by anyone, the victim. Goes to the north where the Impala is. Goes right past the Impala. Does a three-point U-turn and comes back. This is another camera picking up the Impala and the Cruze. That's on the Tesla, part of its security system. You'll see the Cruze kind of do a little turn there, back up, and come back to the south. You may, I don't know if you saw that or not, the Cruze is turning around, but the Impala is pulling into a spot over here at the same time as it passes back by.
Objection, Your Honor. This is cumulative.
Overruled. This is opening statement. Go ahead.
So now the Cruze is coming back, doing one last pass, and now we're within seconds of the attack, the murder itself. You can see individuals at the top of the screen moving. You're going to see them run by the front of the Tesla, getting into position. There's the third shooter, Davion Murphy. And now they come around the pistol shooter, Rashad Murphy, and the shooter on the top of the screen right there is Sean Gathright. You see the collision between the Altima and the Hyundai as they're trying to get out of there. You see Mr. Murphy come out of hiding and Mr. Gathright opening fire. You'll see Mr. Gathright and Mr. Murphy running back to the north. And you saw this, there's the muzzle flashes of Mr. Davion Murphy's rifle. And you saw the Charger going to the north. That's the Charger picked up by the Tesla cameras heading north. There goes Mr. Rashad Murphy, there goes Gathright, and there's Davion Murphy. And you can kind of see the blocky image of the brass catcher on the side of that rifle. Another view from the Tesla of Davion Murphy running back to the Impala. This attack was relentless, as you saw. They weren't going to stop. They were going to make sure that they killed Mr. Jones, that he was not going to live, that they were not going to go back to Jacksonville without him dying. And you saw that relentless attitude of these defendants as they were shooting. This is the Airbnb. That's a photograph of, well, actually, this is a video. So this is the night they get there. This is Saturday, the 22nd. The defendant entering. There's no volume on this, but when she walks in, someone says, "My bad." Mr. Chance having maybe a celebratory drink. This is the next day around 2:30, 3. You can see he has to keep knocking. The person getting in that silver car is an Uber driver who they have called. That is how they returned to Jacksonville. The defendant, Mr. Chance, and Mr. Murphy this time returned to Jacksonville. Now they're unloading, bringing out all of their kit and their gear, their weapons. There's Mr. Davion Murphy. Now they're getting sloppy because it's the next day and all of the conspirators are visible. There's Mr. Murphy trying to go back in. Mr. Gathright walking out with gear. They don't they don't leave the way they came. They flee from this murder separately and in a different format. That's Mr. Gathright. He leaves independent of the others in the Impala.
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is narrating the evidence, stuff that's not even been introduced, Your Honor.
Well, because it's opening statement. He's just telling the jury what he believes the evidence will show. So I'm going to overrule the objection.
You can see Mr. Gathright.
It looked like all the lights
over
just
to
got
the
sucked out of
side,
her
to the
right there.
back. And that's how they got in the day before. The evidence will show Mr. Gathright, Sean Gathright, whose house they all started at with the Impala. He leaves, but he doesn't go back to Jacksonville. Mr. Gathright drives across I-4 to Polk County, to Auburndale, to his grandmother's house, where he switches cars. He leaves his Impala at his grandmother's house, and he takes her Toyota 4Runner, and he drives that to Orlando, where he goes out that night to a club, and he posts a photograph of him drinking Don Julio tequila, which is a diss to Charles Jones. Charles Jones, Julio Fulio, was known in all of his social media to drink Don Julio. That's where the name came from. He was notorious for that. This Mr. Gathright drives over, switches cars, goes to Orlando, then he ends up in Jacksonville. That's Mr. Gathright being picked up on a Flock license plate reader system. This is him coming. This is on June 22nd. You can see 7:39. He's in Hillsborough County. So 6:23, he's eastbound on I-4 at 4:13, eastbound on I-4. This is the Sunday after the shooting. 6:25, southbound Florida 559, and Fred Jones Parkway in Polk County. This is Mr. Gathright arriving at his grandmother's house in Opal Avenue in Auburndale. You're going to see him walk in. You see the Chevy Impala, the assault car, sitting in the driveway. Law enforcement go there later. They get this video of Mr. Gathright switching cars. You're going to see him wiping down the Impala before he leaves. And there he is leaving in the 4Runner, saying goodbye to his grandmother. That 626 date in the upper right-hand corner is wrong, 623. The defendant and her boyfriend, Mr. Chance, and Mr. Rashad Murphy, who had come there in the Chevy Cruze with his cousin, Davion Murphy. Now Rashad Murphy traveled with them in that Uber. There's the Uber receipt, $187, 3 hours, 25 minutes, 208 miles from Gazebo Pond to Chipperfield Lane in Jacksonville. You see the route on the left, they go up 75 and they cut through I-10, heading up to Jacksonville. The Uber driver in this case will testify to you that he picked up 3 people at an Airbnb in Tampa and dropped them off at Sean Gaithright's house in Jacksonville. That this defendant and Mr. Chance sat in the back seat, and the whole way they're on their phones, and they're not wearing a mask. This is them arriving at Sean Gaithright's house. He's in Orlando or in Auburndale at his grandmother's house. Again, Miss Andrews is not wearing a mask. She's unloading along with Mr. Chance, and you're going to see Rashad Murphy here with some kind of a hat on, like a beret, with the same bags that were loaded up into the Impala. He's handing something now to the defendant. And down on the right through that crepe myrtle plant, you can see Chance in the driver's seat of the car. Mr. Murphy wearing the same jeans that he was wearing when he got arrested 2 days later in Gwinnett County, Georgia, northeast of Atlanta, driving the Chevy Cruze. He was with his girlfriend, Charmaine Steiger. They had picked up a hotel that morning, early in the morning. Law enforcement pick up the tag on flock cameras in Norcross, Georgia, and Gwinnett County. In Gwinnett County PD, you will hear from 2 officers from that agency who will tell you, the first officer being the one who arrests Mr. Murphy, that he came into contact in the hotel parking lot, pulls in behind the car, the Chevy Cruze. Mr. Murphy pops out of the driver's seat. He's yelling at him at gunpoint, "Show me your hands, show me your hands." Mr. Murphy doesn't hesitate. He takes off running. The officer chases him and tases him and knocks him down, where other officers stick guns to his head, and then they cuff him, wearing the same torn up jeans or type of jeans that he's wearing in the photograph from Jacksonville 2 days earlier.
Oh, y'all, listen. I think we're going to have to continue this tomorrow. I've been on here 2 hours and it's 12 something. I'm so tired. I got to get myself ready for, I don't have any quizzes tomorrow, so I'll come back on tomorrow after I get off of work. But just from the way that he laid this out, this prosecutor did a very good job. He did his research. His team did their thing. hey, I don't know how she's gonna get any less, even though she's told it, unless they've already made some deals. But she's in trial. So I don't know. I don't know what she got going on, but I mean, she's probably gonna get just as much time as they got. She should. She's one of the major components in this situation. So anyway, y'all, I've got to get off of here so I can get ready for work. I need to take a shower and get in bed, get my clothes ready. But I appreciate you all tuning in tonight. Thank you all for the support, for the cash apps and the super chats. I appreciate everybody that support the channel. I want y'all to sleep peacefully tonight. Dear God, I just ask that you watch over each and every one of us and our families as we sleep tonight. Watch over our properties and our items, just all of the things that you have blessed us with. Watch over it as we sleep peacefully tonight. No weapon formed against any of us shall prosper. Anything that rises up will be condemned. Any spells, any evil thoughts, any bad wishes, any of that was spoken against any of us that means well, we reverse the curse and send it back to the sender, and may it manifest in their very own lives in less than 30 days, okay? We'll continue watching this tomorrow, okay? You all have a good night. I love you all. I'll talk with you later.